A pile of diamonds in the rough. So, this is just a few radios that showed up today. I think I got, I got sitting out there. 1, 2, 3, 4, so what? 4, 5, 6, 7. So I got seven radios today. They're all mine. Actually, more than that. A few customers' radios showed up as well. But, yeah, there's been lots of really good deals showing up on eBay on oddball and really good radios. Oddball radio would be on the bottom, and some really good radios. Tram D62 and a RCA Copilot, and this is a sideband version. This is a 14T302. I thought these three were probably worthy of showing. Have not tested any of them. They just got unpacked. So what you see is basically the way I took them out of the box and bubble wrap. Haven't had the covers off of any of them. These two came in a lot. I got this one specifically for the reason that I just need a set of covers for a Tram D62. I have a bad habit of buying radios. Well, it's not a bad habit, it's actually a good habit, because it's one reason I have so many parts for old radios. I buy parts chassis. So a lot of times I'll see a radio like this, which is what happened the last time I got one of these. It looked like a parts chassis. It had, I think, one knob, I think the channel selector knob. The covers were gone. Yeah, it just looked like, it's probably it's a parts radio, what I need. You never know when you might need some unobtainable, part made out of unobtainium on the inside. Your standard components, resistors, capacitors, most semiconductors, stuff like that. Yeah, dime a dozen, still made today. But a lot of times you'll need something out of something like this that's just not manufactured anymore. So that's why I have mountains of parts radios. Well, of course, anytime I get even something like that that looks, it looks like a parts radio, I want to give it a try to see what's actually wrong with it. And, inevitably, I ended up fixing the blasted thing. The only thing that was wrong with it was audio amp IC. So, I popped the new audio amp IC in it, and the darn thing works just fine. So, yeah, now I need another set. Now I've got a bunch of these radios already, but now I've got a working radio with no covers. So yeah, this one, and it's in so-so condition. The covers they're acceptable for just a, it's not a beauty queen. Actually, the other ones, the faceplate's actually in very nice condition compared to this one. But yeah, the covers aren't in beautiful condition. I have one of these in mint condition in the original box, so it's not like I'm searching for pristine covers. I just need some covers that'll fit the blasted thing so it doesn't collect dust internally. So, but of course, I want to try this one out. The RCA Copilot, another reason. Like I say, these two came in a lot together. I got this one just because it's an RCA Copilot. It's an SSB radio. They're very good radios. Most of your manufacturers had stuff back in the day. I mean, RCA had radios. Department stores, J.C. Penney, Sears had radios. Everybody had radios back in the CB heydays. RCA was no exception, and RCA made really nice radios. So, and their sideband radios are, for people, I guess you could say, in the know. They know that RCA sideband radios are very good radios. They're very desirable. Again, this one's in so-so condition. Actually, the faceplate should clean up fairly good. The bezels, it's pitted, but should clean up fairly nicely. And then the Lafayette underneath of it, it's an AM-only radio, but you'll see why that one's special. This is actually it's at least my second, it might be my third one, but it's my first one in the box, with all the accessories, all the paperwork, everything's in there. So, we'll start at the bottom of the pile, because I got to move the top two to get down, so we'll just see if any of these work. Actually, clean the bench off here. Guess I can get rid of this. I kind of left this here, wanted to remind myself to show. Always have to have little tips and tricks in a lot of my videos. This is a brake spoon. So yeah, used to be a truck mechanic at one point in time. And you're probably thinking, well, Mike, you work on radios now. Why do you have a brake spoon on your bench? Well, occasionally you'll get a radio. And then it's the reason it was out. I actually just used this on a radio. And now you're really scratching your heads, aren't you? Well, a brake spoon's nothing more than a bent-up pry bar, basically. But the end of this pry bar is nice and rounded around, and you'll see there's a notch in the end. That notch was not originally in there. I cut that notch into it. Occasionally, you will get a radio. Usually not mobiles, but actually I have seen it done to mobiles too, so I can't even say that. But you'll get a radio shoot, it doesn't even have to be a radio, anything. Where someone has taken or lost the screws, yes, something about screws and CD radios. There's some dark pit of despair somewhere that's just filled with billions of CB radio screws, probably the same pit that sucks up most of the power cords, mounting brackets, and microphones. But, people lose the screws, and then they go to put other screws back in. Now, most radios, the screws will be a regular machine thread. So, a 440 screw, a 632, something like that. Or modern screws might be like a, M4, it would be a metric screw, M3 or an M4. But the problem is people, they use whatever they have laying around, and they'll slap some type of sheet metal or a screw that's meant to go like in a lot of your modern electronics, like, the test equipment back there has plastic housings. And they jam the screw in and they run it in with a drill or whatever the heck they put it in with. And it holds, don't get me wrong, it works fine. But then, I get it to work on, it's either mine or I'm working on something for somebody, and you can't get the screw out. You try to unscrew it and it just spins. It strips the threads. When they drove it in, it'll strip that last thread off because it's too coarse, and now the screw just sits in there and spins. So what you can do is try and get the head out a little bit. If you can get the head out a little bit, then you can just think of this screwdriver as a screw with a really long head. But if that was the screw head, what this allows you to do is get this underneath of the screw head, and then with a screwdriver you'll be trying to unscrew the screw, but then you can then pry up on the underside of the screw head to try and extract it. A lot of times that's the only choice you have. It's either that or you're not going to get it apart. You'll have to grind the head off of it or something. Like I said, I like this one because it's kind of rounded. That's why I picked this one to modify. I've got so many dozens of brake spoons. I just went one day and I need a pry bar and opened a toolbox drawer. Yeah, that one looks good. It's kind of rounded. Now, if you don't want to mar up your covers or something, you can always lay, just take a pack of Post-it notes or something and lay it underneath of it so you're not rolling the metal directly on the finish. You can take a piece of plastic, anything, piece of cardboard, but something to try and spread it out a little bit more so you don't do any damage. But like I said, it's really handy. As long as you can get this underneath of the screw head, you'll snap the head off. Trust me, I know. I've done that with this one before, and that's fine. Once I snap the head off, I can get the covers off. A lot of times I can screw it into the radio, grab it with a pair of needle nose pliers, and just basically continue to screw that broken off piece of screw into the radio till it falls, basically into the radio. But that's why I left this out. That's why I hadn't put it away. So just set that off to the side now. You can stick it back in its drawer for however many months. But yeah, like I say, this one doesn't have any screws in it, so yeah, I'm not holding, though, like I say, got radios in worse condition with no covers and get them to work. But yeah, it's not in the best of condition. I just needed some sheet metal covers to stick on the other one I have. But we'll see, we will see if it works. The RCA Copilot, it's got a few screws. What's it got? 2 in each side. So yeah, there's screws missing out of this, so obviously somebody's been in it. Added bonus, it does come with the original microphone, so the dark pit of despair has not sucked up the microphone for this one. There are a gazillion microphones floating around somewhere in this world. Actually, over the years, I've started to collect a lot of them. Okay, now this is the one, is a really neat radio. If you're familiar with the Whistler radios, they had a radio just like this. We have the radio, and oh man, what so nice back in the day. Remember when you used to buy a radio, you didn't need a service manual, it came with it. Lafayette back in the day, no exception. Full-size fold-out schematic in the owner's manual, should be. I think Lafayette used to do that back, yeah, they used to do that back then, yeah. There's your alignment procedure. Yeah, VCO alignment, modulate. Yeah, I mean, block diagram, truth chart for the PLL chip, or chips, I should say. This is one thing, actually, with my other ones, I'm missing. So, and this radio came with an odd microphone, so it's nice that this one came with the matching factory correct microphone for this radio. Got lots of Lafayette mics, but none of the exact correct ones. Oh yeah, standard 3-pin. knobs. Even were nice enough to tape the screws up so it didn't bounce around. So yeah, it's got all the goodies with it. Actually, don't need the cardboard. Leave the manual out for the moment. But okay, if you recall, I just said this has PLLs, plural. It has 2 channel displays. And it's out of focus. Hocus pocus focus. Are we not focusing today? We don't like Lafayette radios? There we go. But yes, so this has 2 channel selectors. It has 2 PLL chips. It has 2 VCO mixer circuits. It has a double of a lot of things. And then a lot of the other circuits, just like in the Whistler radios, are shared. But so this one's in really nice condition, actually. It looked good online. Yeah, actually, the back, absolutely, I mean, man, the back just doesn't get much better than that. 2 little specks right there. That's it. Yeah, it looks like it spent most of its life in the box. So, now of course, I never, even good-looking radios, I never, ever, ever plug anything in until I have taken the covers off to inspect, to make sure somebody hasn't done something stupid inside of them. No use letting the magic smoke out of a radio if you don't have to. Trust me, you'd be surprised how many times I'll pop the covers off of something and see something that, if someone had plugged it in, could have been very, shall we say, detrimental to the radio's health. So, always a good idea to pop the covers off. Oh, come on. And we look pretty much all original here. Can't say I see any signs of solder work on the underside. The wires, they're factory original, all those are for the lights. Actually, you can see one goes down to the bulb down there, so that's all factory original. Always a good sign. No signs of soldering work except for what was done at the factory. Oh, good. Speaker unplugs. Back when they actually used to put plugs on speakers. Now, here's where you should start to see that, yes, there's definitely something different going on with this radio. 2 channel selectors, so yes. And I don't even remember. Okay, yeah, so it's been so long since I had to cover off one of my other ones. So there is one PLL O2A IC down there. Wiring harness comes up from the channel selector, and then there's another PLL, get the light right, PLL O2A back here. And again, wiring harness comes up to the other channel selector. And it looks pretty good. Can't say I can see where any of the large aluminum electrolytics have belched out. I do see the big ones are held down with Sony bond, but luckily even that looks like it's, let's grab a pick here, it doesn't look like it's gotten to the corrosive state yet. Looks like it's still rather juicy. Ah, it is. It's still rubbery. That's good. It'll be easy to get off, and don't have to worry about it having eaten any of the leads off of anything. So let me grab a power cord. Just temporarily slide these covers out of the way. Hook this up a coax connector. Actually, we'll get her flipped around. Okay, speaker wires aren't going to short out against anything. I haven't actually had a radio on all day today. I've been mowing and 500,000 other things. It's late afternoon, so I don't even know if there's any skip today or not. Okay, power supply's on. Turn on my 1040. Oh, and man, I love the old mic. I've got a bunch of these, the 4-pins, but I really like these cast housing aluminum plugs. Just so nice. Back when they used to, even the plugs were quality. So, let's see. Squelch, main, secondary, RF gains up the whole way, CB, 2 position, I didn't remember that, dimmer, leave that up the whole way, signal, main, tone, high, okay, well, it's alive. Now let's hook up a speaker, since the factory speaker's in the top cover, or bottom cover. Need an external speaker plugged into it. Okay, well, and let's see, on dummy load, and it's it's thinking about it. That could be a dirty mic button, maybe. Seems to be delayed. I know this thing's going to need the electrolytic capacitors replaced. Yes, we would appear to not be transmitting. Always give your CVPA switch several flicks back and forth. Sometimes you'd be surprised how many radios I've seen that be a cause of major problems. I do have this running to the 1040, yes, in dummy load, that is turned on. Yeah, there's nothing coming out, but I can see this, I don't know if it shows up in a camera. That is dimming, so there is a current draw. Now let's see, let's turn both squelches up. Gotta remember how in the heck this thing works. Always have to get the manual out. Ah, there we go. So what is the priority? No. Or did it just start doing it all by itself? Well, let's flick over to antenna. No sound. I'm going to say probably we have a synthesizer problem. Probably either a bad crystal, PLL's unlocked, there's definitely something going on because we don't have any receive. Yeah, I'm on an antenna now. Now let's just pump in a gigantic signal into the radio. Some power turned on over here, channel 19, and we'll stuff in a massive 10,000 microvolt signal. And there's still nothing. Yep. So, looks like this will be a repair video in the future. Give her a love tap. If there's just a bad solder joint somewhere. Flex the board a little bit. And we have the audio amps working. You can hear, run my fingers across the audio amp. So it's not a speaker problem, it's not an audio problem. Yeah, no transmit, no receive. Okay, well, that shouldn't be that hard to fix. Like I say, the radio is in really good condition. It's probably just either bad caps, because it's probably been 20 or 30 years since this poor thing's been plugged in last. Yeah. So this will be a... make sure... yeah, let's see. And there's a reference for that one. The crystals are... so yeah, I'm going to say I need to recap this one. But you can see what it does. So it's a scan. It scans between, unlike today where we just use, if you want scanning, you just use a microprocessor. It's very simple. Back in these days, yeah, the easiest thing they could come up with was this very complicated and rather expensive too, because there's a lot this adds a lot of components to this radio. Like I say, it's got 2 channel selectors. It's got 2 channel displays. There's going to be 2 extra knobs they have to buy. And these were, you can see, custom channel selector switches too. It's not like these were common off-the-shelf ones used in a lot of other radios. All the extra resistors they're going to have in here, the boards, 2 PLL chips, 2 VCO circuits, 2 mixer circuits. Yeah, they just really add a lot to the expense. And actually, we can just show that since I left the schematic out. Actually, that's why I left it out. I wanted to show that. So yeah, you've got 2 channel selectors, 2 PLLs, 2 VCO mixers, and then basically after that, I mean, there's some circuitry unique to the way this radio works because it needs to scan. So, there's part of the scan circuit. But after these the VCO mixers basically comes out through the 2 buffers here, and where are we at? Yeah, you basically have a common point right here after the 2 buffers. But, yep, so I'll need to repair this one. One of these days. So, let me just really quick just pop the covers on it. I'm not going to screw them back on right at the moment. Don't want to bore you with seeing me put a bunch of screws back in it. I'll get that after I get off camera. And let's grab the next victim. Keep all these screws here. And move all this stuff. And the next victim is the RCA Copilot. Now, I'm not holding hope that either of these work. So, but actually that previous radio was a perfect example. Mint-looking radio in the box with all the paperwork still doesn't work. Don't be surprised if that happens to you. You can buy one that's honestly never been touched by human hands since it was made. It can be still sealed in the factory original box and still not work. Don't be surprised if that happens. It's so common to see electrolytic capacitors go bad in radios, and like I will frequently say, they actually go bad faster not being used in a radio that's not being used than they do in a radio that gets used regularly. Because actually just simply using a radio every once in a while actually will help to reform the electrolytic capacitors. So any of you that are familiar with radio chassis are probably looking at this going, oh, now I see why you like those RCA Copilots, Mike. Yep, it's a Cybernet chassis. So just like you're going to find in boatloads of other radios, same chassis used in, God, I'm not going to say countless. I mean, there's only a certain number. And what is this? A PTBM? Where is... It's not on the bottom of the board. Nope. Let's see. Trying to find a board number for you. PTBM, I know that, darn it. Mike Jackson away. 048 AOX. I was thinking 049, so 048. But, yeah, very common chassis. Very good working chassis, too. So, let's power this critter up. Now, this one takes a 2-pin cord, so Actually, I just had that out. Where is that little guy? We can get rid of the little bit more modern 3-pin one. So I can't say looks too bad on the inside. It actually looks pretty good. No real signs of tinkering with it too much. I think somebody... Nope, actually that's factory too. I'll say I think somebody had tinkered with the PLL area, but actually that all looks factory as well. Yeah, I think this may be a turn out to be a really nice radio. I don't think this one's ever been tinkered with. Don't see anything snipped out. Yeah, it's actually a good sign. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this one doesn't work, and the reason it might not work, the VCO block. they're the death nail in Cybernet radios, be it one of these larger metal can ones or one of the smaller ones. It's in a metal can, but it has that green plastic sleeve that slides down over top of it. They're a very, very, very common problem in Cybernets. Either the varactor diode goes bad in the small green ones, or in the larger ones like this, the varactor diode can go bad, and there's also an aluminum electrolytic capacitor in there. Now, I've shown in a separate video some time ago now, it's a very time-consuming process, takes a lot of patience and a steady hand, but you can actually burrow into that epoxy with a Dremel tool or some type of rotary hand tool, and like carbide dental burrs, and you can remove those components and actually rebuild these things. I've done it several times, works just fine. You can also, if you don't want to go that route, because it is, like I say, it's very time consuming, but another option you have is there is a company in, I think they're in England, Spectrum, you can look it up online, it's Spectrum Communications. They make aftermarket VCO blocks. Actually, I have a boatload of those here, because I usually give the customer a choice. What do they want? Do they want me to rebuild the original or use an aftermarket one? So there's for the two different styles. So this would be the one that would be used in a radio like this with the large VCO block, and then the ones that have the original little green ones would be this one. Back in the parts cabinet. So let's get the antenna hooked up here. Speaker. Heard a pop noise when I plugged the mic in. And dimmer's turned down the whole way. So, okay. Squelch is down. Clarifier is about center. DX noise blanker off. And again, no sound. Actually, I still have the communications test set on channel 19, pumping out 10,000 microvolts, so nothing. Yep, dead as a doornail. Oh, that's good. Another repair video. Now, the first thing I'll do to this before I do any troubleshoot on this one, the Lafayette, the tram, I don't know. I may or may not have opened that one up to see what it looks like on the inside. But this one, since it's basically virgin on the inside, it's never been tinkered with. I will completely recap this one, so I'll replace all the electrolytic capacitors, and then I'll troubleshoot it. It just saves time, honestly. I've diagnosed so many radios, old radio, all original electrolytic capacitors. You diagnose and you find a bad cap, and you replace it, and then you find another problem, and you spend a half hour troubleshooting that just to find out another bad cap, and you replace it. Well, if you're going to replace all the electrolytic capacitors anyhow, why don't you start there? replace all the electrolytic capacitors, then try the radio out. You might be surprised, a lot of times you'll take a dead radio, recap it, clean it up, clean the controls, and it'll spring back to life. Now, of course, you're going to need to do an alignment on it. It's an old radio. Crystals, everything's going to have drifted out of tolerance. But that's always, honestly, the best place to start on vintage electronics. Replace the electrolytic caps first. So that's what I'll do to this one. So, again, we'll just really quick pop the covers on this. Get her in the right orientation here. Don't worry about sticking the screws back in it in a little while. And I'll just plug this mic back into it so it doesn't get lost. And let's take a look-see at the tram. Another Dust Bowl radio. It's been neglected for 30 plus years. Yeah. Oh, come on, cover, get off of here. Oh, yeah, that's a good crusty, dusty one. There we go. We got some proper cobwebs in this one. Yeah, somebody's been using this one for a home for a while. And, okay, I can't even half see the damn circuit board for all the dust on it. So, just really quick, let me evict some of these ancient bugs. Okay. Now I can actually see the circuit board. And again, looks like this one may be all original too. Yeah. Yeah, look at all those dead spider carcasses in there. Just filled with them. Now this one looks like it might have been in a slightly damp environment. You can tell by the rust along the backside of the edge here. So no doubt in my mind, actually all three of these radios, the electrolytic caps need to be replaced. But again, it looks good. Doesn't look like it's ever been tinkered with. Let's see. Of course, these radios don't take a power cord that plugs in. It's hardwired to the radio. Oh, so it'd help if I had a red and a black, not two reds. We'll just hook up some gator clips. Go through my panel here, which has a built-in fuse. I don't have to worry about the fuse in the power cord because its fuse holder is busted. Okay, get that out of the way. And where's the ground end? Oh, I see some sparking going on when I hook that up. Looks like this one is dead. Nothing. Oh no, we're in PA. Still not helping. Even the knob's not on in the right orientation. Yep, so another part parts radio that, like I say though, this is the dilemma I always end up in. I buy these blasted things for parts chassis and end up fixing them. Like I say, the last one I worked on, the only thing that was wrong with it was the audio amp IC. Popped another. Actually, I replaced the audio amp IC, and I think if I remember right, I think I replaced the 3 large filter caps. Because those a lot of times will be the first ones to go. But yeah, replaced the audio amp and those 3 filter caps, and the radio sprung back to life and works fine. Still need to recap the rest of it. But yeah, this one seems to have a little bit more problems. First protection diode's not fried. No burned up traces. Because this one just had no indication of life when I powered it up. So it could have, very easily have, just feeling these caps to see if any of them were getting hot. No, they're all still cold. Yeah. So there you go. There's just 3 more radios. Now, like I say, this is only 3 of 7 radios that I got today. But I'll probably these 3. I'll do the Lafayette first. Don't know exactly when it's going to be. Whenever I get time. Haha. But yeah, we'll do some troubleshooting on that one. See why it's trying to think what the heck was wrong with it. Doesn't transmit or receive. So I'm going to very quickly take a educated guess that it's having synthesizer problems, because that easily kills both transmit and receive anytime it does not, something turns on, and that one does, turns on, the scan function works, we have all audio, like I said, I rub my finger across the audio amp, we got static noise on that one. Yeah, a lot of times when both receive and transmit are dead, best place to start, pull out the service manual. It'll give you a bunch of test points, just like in this radio. See all these little white guys sticking up here, or some of them have plastic sleeves, all these test points. But the ones that you'd normally be attaching to when you're doing your frequency calibration in the VCO alignment procedure, just see if you have an oscillation there. See if you actually have a signal there. A lot of times you find you won't, and then you can work out what's wrong. But yeah, a lot of times that's all it is. It's something in the synthesizer circuit's bad. This one obviously is having some kind of just plain power, and it could be as simple as a bad CBPA switch. As dirty and nasty as this thing is, nothing would surprise me. The other one, it doesn't do anything either, but it does come on, has channel indicator, audio amp worked in that one. Again, best place to start, recap it, but yeah, I will definitely do videos on them. So we have 3 broken radios. I'll try to do individual videos on each of those, and we'll go through the entire troubleshooting process. What I start with, where to test, things to look out for. Like I say, the first thing I'll do to any of them is recap them. Now this one, like I said, I just need a parts chassis. I don't really want to restore this one, but I'll just do some troubleshooting on it. And we can see, maybe do some in-circuit ESR testing on the caps. That way I'm not actually just changing a bunch of parts that I really don't need to be putting new parts into a radio if it's just going to sit on a shelf for parts, like in case I ever need a channel selector or a transformer or crystal filter out of. That's the only thing I really want one of these blasted things for, is a parts chassis, because I don't think I have any D62 parts chassis. I've got lots of D62s, just no parts chassis. I always get the blasted things and fix them up, so I really need to just say the heck with it, and even if I get this one working, just but I do need parts off of this one. Like I said, I need the covers, I need the rest of the knobs off of this one for that other radio, so I can put that one. It won't be mint looking. Like I say, the faceplate's really nice, but the covers, I don't really care what they look like. I just need to keep the dirt out of it. So look forward at some point in the future, 3 upcoming troubleshooting videos. Just that worked out perfect. Maybe not for me. They're my radios. They're broken. But for you, the viewers, that'll actually work out well. We'll get 3 good troubleshooting videos. So those three radios are pretty much, for the most part, dead. They don't do anything. So that'll be good for you guys and gals. So at some point in time, we'll be back with those videos. I got to actually get a few videos uploaded today. That's the only problem. I get these videos, I just never have time to upload stuff. And I'm working on the electronics course that I'm going to be doing here on YouTube. That's becoming a very time-consuming process. Writing out all my training material for that. I still have to work on a website. I need to get with a couple people have offered help with that. I'm probably going to have to take them up on that. You know, I'm spending half my days now. About half my week, you might as well say. I can't work on radios anymore. So, you know, my income's been cut in half doing that electronics courses. It's going to be a crunch for about a year or two. But I'm doing it. Like I say, I'm working on the course material right now. And it's going to be a free course. I'm not going to charge anybody for it. It's just going to be free, open on YouTube. The only thing, if you want to follow along in the hands-on portions of it, you're going to need, which that's the stuff I'm working on, figuring out exactly what test equipment to I actually need to buy. I'm not going to say. That'll be a surprise video, but I kind of knew about them, but I kind of rediscovered there's a little gizmo on the market that will do all kinds of stuff, and it does it really well. I need to get one or two of those to play with. But yeah, I'm working on recommended equipment for that course, supplies. I'm trying to get all my BOM list, my bill of material list together. So for those of you that want to actually take that course, you'll be able to. I'm trying to set it up if I can just through DigiKey. You'll just go to DigiKey, click on a cart. There's everything you need for the DC component. But and then one day you can work on dusty, crusty, bug-infested stuff like this yourself. So more videos to come. Like I say, I need to get some videos uploaded today. So there you go. There's just a couple DOA radios that came across my bench today.